Hello, beautiful NeuroGrove community. We are so excited that you've decided to join us for remote neurofeedback training, and we hope you like it as much as we do. I believe it'll be a great opportunity for you to train your brain whenever, wherever, and as much as you'd like each week. So it'll be good for providing a greater level of consistency, as well as just a nice tool for you to use at the times that you really need it the most. So as with our in-person services, I have created an individualized plan that is specific to you, your brain, and your goals. And I'll also be tracking your progress along the way to make sure that your brain is responding well, and will adjust to your training protocol as necessary. Now in this video, I'll be taking you step by step through how to get set up, how to address any issues you might face, and then get you started with your remote brain training. So please take a moment to watch this full video before starting your training. It might take a little time now, but it'll likely save you a lot of time and frustration later. So first thing you're going to do is make sure that you're connected to Bluetooth and the internet, which is usually in the settings application of your device. Okay. Then you're going to download the MindLift app, which looks like this, with the up arrow. And feel free to pause this video for a moment while it downloads. Now, once it's downloaded, you'll go ahead and open it and put in the email address and 6-digit code that we've provided for you. So we're just going to put in our sample client here. We've got brainChamp@neurogrove.com, and the 6-digit code was 972653. Okay. And then you'll see that it prompts you to create a password of your own. So we're just going to create a password here. And we are ready to go. Okay, now if you have a symptom questionnaire set up, it might take you through that first and foremost. So just go ahead and answer those questions and move forward. Now here, you'll see that we've got a lot of things on this screen. So when you look at the little eye with a circle around it, that is information, okay? Now that can be really helpful to look at what each of these things say. So for example, where you see it says eyes open on the left, you can click on the little eye next to it, and it explains that, okay, so we're going to keep our eyes open during the entirety of the training. This is an eyes open training. Sometimes we will have eyes closed training, and it'll tell you that too. You see in the middle where it says high beta, I'm going to click on that little eye, and this is telling us about our training program. So it's telling us what we're actually going to be trying to do in the brain. So for example, up means we're trying to increase low beta, 12 to 15 hertz. If you click the down arrow there, you can see what that frequency band is related to. So we see here that it can be referred to as either low beta or sensory motor rhythm, SMR, and is associated with a very focused and relaxed state. So you will be training low beta to go up. That's Mr. Brain Champ. When you click on the down for high beta, that means we're trying to decrease these really fast frequencies. So high beta waves are seen during highly complex, rapid thoughts, including states of excitement or high anxiety and arousal. They can also be easily affected by body and face movements. You will be training high beta to go down. And then lastly, we have theta, 4 to 7 hertz. Theta relates to a state of dreamy, free-flowing, and detached, unconscious thoughts. This usually occurs during automatic tasks and sometimes in deep meditative states. You will be training theta to go down. Okay, so knowing this information will help you in your training program, because when you see one of these pop out of that healthy range, it gives you an idea of what the problem might be. So for example, if you see that your theta is getting too high, then that might mean that you're kind of checking out or you're daydreaming a little bit and you need to enhance your focus. If you see that your high beta is getting outside the box, then that might mean that maybe you're trying too hard or you're feeling too stressed or have too much muscle tension. Okay, so you want to actually try to relax a little bit. So this just gives you some information. You can click Got It. And then you see on the right, we've got an external electrode. So this one's telling you that you do need that external electrode. So I'll show you that in a moment. Okay, so now let's grab our headset. Okay, this is our Muse headset. And you'll see that it has these electrodes in the front. Those are all reading brain activity. And then it also has these on the ears. Those are also electrodes, okay? Now, first and foremost, you want to be really careful to not damage those electrodes. So you don't want to be touching these ones very much, and you don't want to be tugging on these too much, okay? Now, before you go to put it on your head, first thing you want to do is make sure you turn it on. Okay, it's really easy to forget to turn it on, and then you get it all set up on your head and you just have to take it right back off. Okay, so the on button is on the inside of this right ear. You'll just press it until you see the light turn on. Okay, so now that's on. And we saw that our training requires the external electrode. So you're going to grab your electrode and you'll see that it's a mini USB. You're just going to put that into the mini USB on the earpiece. Until you hear it snap. Okay. And then you're going to place it on your forehead. Now, before you place it on your forehead, you want to make sure that these earpieces are going to be on the bare skin behind your ears. So if you have a lot of hair, like I do, then you might want to actually pin it up first. So I'm going to actually pull it up and use a bobby pin to just hold it out of the way. And on the other side, you'll do the same thing. Okay. So now I can feel the skin behind my ears without the hair getting in the way. I've also made sure to get it off my forehead. Now that's going to make it easier for me to place it. So you'll place it on your forehead, center it, and then you'll want to hold it there and just do one ear at a time. Just tighten it, pushing it in, and kind of just working back and forth, because you want it to be nice and snug to where it's kind of pulling on your ears just a little bit. Not so much that, you're getting a headache, but snug. And then if you have an external electrode like we do in this program, then you're going to grab your 1020 paste and you'll just scoop it in. So I'm going to scoop it to where you've got kind of a mound on top, okay? And then you're going to place that on your head at the spot that we've told you. So before you place it, you want to part your hair in the spot that we've said. And part it to the point that you would be able to feel the skin under it. So I'm just going to move a little forward here so that you can actually see where I place it. There we go. So now I've got kind of a spot here on my head. You can also use bobby pins there if that's going to make it easier. I'm trying to do this backwards on the screen. Then you're going to just press down just to make sure you have it nice and stuck on your head. Okay? So next thing you're going to do is press start on your app. And it shows that it's looking for the headset. Now it's connecting, and we're connected. Now it's going to do a signal quality check. So you want to stay nice and still during this. Good. Okay, good connection. Now, if you have trouble with that step, then you might want to make sure that you tighten your headset a little bit more, and you might need to stay more still. You might need to limit your blinking. If you're blinking too much, it's going to affect that, okay? So sometimes people get stuck on that initial connection step, and that's because they're either moving or blinking, or they don't have it tight enough on their head, or they might have hair underneath, okay? So you can adjust that. Now, if you do all of that and you're still having trouble connecting, then you might need to use a little bit of rubbing alcohol and a cotton ball and just clean your forehead and behind your ears to make sure you have a really good clean connection there. It could be that there's maybe some oils or hair products or something getting in the way. Usually it's not a big deal, but sometimes that can be a problem. You can also try using a little bit of water on the ear electrodes, just kind of wet them down a little bit, okay? So try all of those things. If they still don't work, then check out our troubleshooting document for some more tips and tricks for that, okay? For most people, it's a pretty easy setup, but some people struggle a little bit until they get it down, okay? So next thing, let's go ahead and start our calibration. It's going to be very similar. You're going to see that I need to stay very still and try to limit my blinking during this stage as well. So here we go. Okay, so that's a good example of when it says it's not sitting tightly behind my ears. So I'm going to go back here. I'm just going to tighten it a little bit more. Make sure that it's really touching against my head. Okay? And I'm going to stay still again.
We're almost there.
Okay, so there you saw that when I started blinking a little too frequently, then it actually paused. So I had to just hold it out a little bit longer. Sometimes this can be hard for people that have really dry eyes. So if that's the case, you might try to close your eyes beforehand or use some eye drops. And then if you can just get through that initial sting that can occur in your eyes from holding them open, then usually your eyes will start to moisten themselves and it makes the rest a lot easier. Because you'll also want to try to limit your blinking throughout training. So the more you can get your eyes to just kind of moisten themselves or use eye drops, that can help a lot, okay? So now you see that we're in our training program and we've got various options here. So for example, we have our runner, glider, fire, fighter, jungle, spider, UFO, and turbulence. These are all game type things where it's going to have some type of image that responds to your brain activity. So for example, let's try out the runner. And you see that when I select it, then it describes a little bit about how the feedback is working. So it says that when you're in the zone, your alien runs faster, the sound of the footsteps speeds up. And when you're not in the zone, your alien slows down and the sound of footsteps slows down. So what they mean by the zone is really dependent on exactly what we're doing in your brain. So whatever is going to be that ideal brain activity for your brain is called the zone, okay? So now let's go ahead and click this little question mark next to start. And you see that once again, it tells us what our protocol is. If you scroll to the right, you see, oh, okay. So in neurofeedback, you'll see and hear positive feedback only when your targeted brainwaves are in range. Scroll to the next one and it shows us that we have these moving dots, okay? Now, some people like to look at the moving dots for their training. Others like to look at the image. Some people just vary it up between the two. Now, these moving dots actually represent the different brainwave bands that we're going to be training. So you'll actually see on each of them, it'll say the band. So one of mine will say theta, one will say SMR, another will say high beta. And then the red one says noise. Noise is anything related to your muscle tension or too much movement, anything that's a signal interruption, okay, that's not actually brain activity. So you want to limit those things as well. Once all of them are within the range that we want, then you'll see that they all come to the center there and it turns green. This is also explaining that you want to be relaxed when you're training. So even if you're trying to focus, you don't want to try too hard. Trying too hard actually seems to make it worse. So you want to find a nice, calm, focused attention, but not stressed about it, and also not checking out. Again, you want to limit your movement. And when this increases in intensity, so as you get to certain levels, it's going to actually get harder, and you'll see these dumbbells. Now, that's an important thing to realize too, because it will continue to get harder throughout the process, which means that, certain times where you may have done really well one round, and then you see that the next round you actually do worse, that's not because you actually did worse always. Sometimes it's because it just got harder. Okay, and this one is talking about you want to make sure that you're comfortable and that you're not just facing downward. Okay, so it's going to get a better signal if you have your head up, and you're also going to have better blood flow to your brain for the training. So you want to go ahead and sit up nice and straight, just kind of pretend like you've got this string coming out of the top of your head, kind of like in meditation. But try to just be comfortable letting your spine be stacked, your head resting on top of your neck, on top of your spine, without that extra muscle tension. Now, if you need to, you can support yourself with pillows, or you can even sit cross-legged on the floor, kind of whatever works for you. Now, if holding it up here actually creates muscle tension for you, then you might also try setting it on something, setting your device on something. So you can kind of lean it against some books. You can try resting your arms on a table and training that way. So play around with it, see what works for you, and then we'll click Got It. And now we're going to start the brain training so that you can see what it looks like. Okay, so here we go. So you see there's my alien and the other alien. And as my things are popping out, my brainwaves popping out, then it gets worse. And when they get closer to the center, closer to the thresholds, I go faster. Okay? Okay, now if you see that I'm moving too much, do a little dance. You see my noise pops out a little bit. And now I'm focusing again. If theta is popping out, then it's increasing, need to increase in focus. And then you also see that I'm gaining points there. So the more I keep it within that center range, all of the brainwave frequencies within that healthier range, the more points I get. Right, increased muscle tension. See that noise come out? And as I lose focus, I'm producing more theta waves. So now I need to improve my focus. Okay, so now you see that my round is finished. So you'll see there 42 XP. And XP is basically an algorithm that combines a variety of factors of overall how well you did, okay? So if we tap to continue here, we see that I got a feedback score of 91, okay? Now, as far as that goes, you just want higher is better, and you can kind of see round to round how you do. The XP is a combination of that score as well as how many times you got in the zone, how long you were in the zone, how deep of a zone you got in. So you see the line graph here where it shows that, okay, I was in the neutral zone for a lot of the time, and then we see the periods that I was able to get in the zone, and this round we didn't get into the full deep zone very much. Okay, if it was deep zone, then it comes up as more of that purplish blue. Now, the zone performance also shows you the percentage of time that you were in each of those categories, both the zone, deep zone, and then movement. So you see that mine had a lot of movement, mainly because I was talking to you guys during that. Okay, and then zone streaks is how long you were able to keep it in the zone for a consistent extended period of time. And the max streak time I had was 5 seconds. Okay, so this gives you some information. This is this round. If you look up top, you see it says this round. If you click on this session, then you're going to see some bar graphs, which over time we'll be able to see how this session compares to the other sessions. Let's go ahead and continue session, and it leads us back to this training screen. Now I'm going to also choose a different one this time that is using YouTube. So you see that you see video and audio. If I click on video, then this explains that when my brain is producing the activity we want to see, the video is going to brighten, and when it's producing what we don't want to see, it fades toward black. The volume level will stay the same on this one. So we're going to click start. And you see that we've got some of these folders that you can choose from with different videos, but you can also, in that top right corner, you can do a YouTube search. Okay, so you can see that we searched for puppies. Can't go wrong with puppy video. And now we have some of these cute videos. So let's go ahead and choose the golden retriever puppies. And now you're going to see that this screen is going to change, and I can actually turn the phone to watch it in more of this widescreen mode. And you see that the screen is getting brighter and darker. So if I can hold it for an extended period, so that's the video. If I want to change the video, if I didn't like that one, you can just hit that back button and go back here. Just keep clicking back, and again, you can choose from one of our videos. So if I go to, for example, meditative imagery, then you can choose anything here to do your training. So we like some of the kaleidoscope imagery, so I'll go ahead and select that. And you see that I'm going to stay nice and still for this training, so I don't want to move much. And you want to make sure that you breathe throughout this. So make sure you're doing long, slow exhale, naturally inflating. Pause at the top. Long, slow exhale, and pause at the bottom. Typically doing this kind of a breathing pattern gets your brain in that optimal state for training. You want to be careful not to hold your breath throughout the training. You see that my brain is already improving. Okay, so now let's check out this round. We see 53 XP, that was higher than the last round, so I did overall better. Tap to continue, and now we see that we do have some of those deep zone moments. So the feedback score was 116, which was higher. The XP, the overall quantity or total of everything was better. And then we see that we have some of these moments where I was definitely in the zone more frequently and even in the deep zone sometimes. So now when we scroll down to zone performance, we see that we had a 17% deep zone and 17% zone, which was higher than last time. I did have some movement. Again, I was talking for part of that, moving for part of that. And then we see that the max streak time actually went up. I was able to keep it for 10 seconds within that deep zone for an extended period of time. So now we can go to this session up top and see how it compares to the last session. And we see that the XP actually increased, okay? We see that the bar for performance over time shows that we had the deep zone and the zone both increased. And then again, the streaks, the amount that I was able to keep it in that zone increased. Okay, so that's pretty much what it's going to look like to do your training program. And you'll have a certain amount of rounds. Now, if you feel like you want to increase the number of rounds or do a longer training, just let us know and we can adjust that on our end, okay? Now, just so you know, when you finish a training session, there will be a rest period that's required where it won't let you do another training immediately after. So you'll want to give just a little bit of time before you start your next training. If you want longer training sessions, again, you'll want to let us know and we can do it longer, but you just can't do back-to-back training sessions, okay? You can do it within the same day, but just wait a few hours. Okay, so now we can close out our app, okay? And then we're going to take off the headset. Now, in order to take off the headset, you want to make sure that you actually loosen it up before you pull it off, okay? If you just try to pull it straight up, you see that it kind of sticks to my skin. That can actually damage the electrodes up here. So make sure you loosen it and just lift it off. And then this electrode up here, you just pull it straight up out of your hair and set that aside. Now, if you want to clean your hair from that spot, all you have to do is just use a cotton ball and a little bit of rubbing alcohol. And usually that'll clean out pretty easily in your hair so that you can go about the rest of your day without having gel in your hair, okay? And you can let your hair down. And now we're going to want to clean our headset. So first of all, you'll turn it off, okay, till you see that light go off. And we can disconnect this electrode. And then I'm going to actually get some of the big chunks off of this electrode. Just kind of get the majority of the gel off. And then you can soak the rest in some water, just some warm water for a little bit. Won't take very long. That'll just help loosen the rest of the gel. Now, for your headset, you can usually just use a cotton ball and a little bit of water to wipe it down. If you feel like you need to sanitize it, then you'll just use a little bit of rubbing alcohol again. And don't soak it, just really light rubbing alcohol and rub it over the electrodes here as well as the ear electrodes, okay? Then once your electrode has been soaking for just a little bit, you don't want to do it for too long either. It can erode over time, so just soak it for a little bit, and then you can take a Q-tip and just scoop it inside that electrode just to get the rust out until you have a clean electrode. You want to make sure not to let the gel dry inside the electrode, just because that can cause you to not get a good connection the next time, okay? So that's all you need to do to clean it up, and then you'll want to make sure to charge your device while you're not training so that it's set for you the next time, okay? If you have any issues, feel free to reach out as always, and hopefully this just helps you get off to a good start. Thanks. Bye-bye.